Really?
It's on the paper. He's going to be there. It's your guy.
No.
He likes me. I'm supportive of Russell Wilson. Plus Michael Strahan, Jimmy Johnson, Antonio Cromartie, Pro Bowler for almost half the years he played, 11 years in the league, 4-time Pro Bowler. I was talking about ownership, and, it's interesting. You were in San Diego, and the Spanos family has been a very polarizing family. They're not well-liked in San Diego right now. Los Angeles, not a lot of buzz, even though they have a lot of good players. I am of the belief that you can never overcome in the NFL. Doesn't matter what your roster is or your coach. You can't. I mean, Belichick got fired in Cleveland. You can't overcome iffy ownership. Did you ever, in your 11 years, have ownership that you thought got in the way of winning football games?
I wouldn't. You know what? I felt like San Diego did, but it wasn't ownership. And the reason I say that's like, it was more so GM.
A.J. Smith.
A.J. Smith. So we go 14-2 my rookie year, 2006. He turns around and says, "You're not going to fire Marty." And then a week later, he fired Marty.
Yeah, it was
and it was like, what in the world just went on?
How did that play in the locker room?
I didn't play very well because a lot of people love Marty. Marty treated us like men. Marty was like, "Hey, you guys, every single day you come here, just come to work. Let's do what we got to do." And I loved him because he actually got to know me, and he got to take me on his. He took me on his wing just to make sure I was okay throughout my whole entire rookie year.
So you loved him. You had a human connection.
Yes. I mean, I give you a promise. I think we played Cincinnati 2006. We was down 25. We was down by 28 points at halftime. We can't end up coming back and winning that game. I gave up 2 touchdowns that game as a rookie. And we was flipping in and out. Me and Drayton Florence was going back and forth. He'll go every other series. I'll go every other series. So I never really could, for me, I could never get my rhythm. And after the game, I went and talked to him about it. I was like, "Look, Coach, I can never get my rhythm. You guys keep taking me out doing this." And he was like, "You know what? You're right." He said, "But this is what I'm going to do. You didn't have a great game. You didn't have, the game that we're looking for." I was like, "I feel like I'm putting a lot of pressure on you. This is what I want to do. I want to just let you play nickel." And I was like, "Thank you."
And you played every play.
And I play every play on nickel. So for him to understand where I was coming from as a player, it made me feel good. But when he left, it was just like, okay, now we have new coaching staff with Norv Turner. Ted Cottrell was my defensive coordinator. I had Bill Bradley as the DB coach and Kevin Ross as the cornerback coach. So I actually built a great relationship with Kevin Ross, but I felt like it wasn't ownership. I think we just...
Your front office, your general manager.
Yeah, general manager just got in the way. He was a guy that...
Listen, team was never the same.
No, but it was just he never called guys out by their name.
Yeah.
He called guys by their number.
Yeah.
And that was something that was like, what? Why you calling every guy by their number instead of calling a guy by his name?
Now, that stuff matters.
I don't think it was more so the ownership part of it. I think it was more so the general manager wanted to just... And they let him have full control of it.
Yeah. By the way, the chart, A.J. Smith, there's no question. There were questions about ego and decision-making. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a horrible decision. Let me ask you about, we got into the Joe Burrow comp, and okay. I get Cincinnati having to draft him. And you can certainly make the argument, because I make the argument with Joe Burrow that what is he great at? Size, mm-hmm. okay. Arm, okay. Athletic ability, okay. There's no great. Now, you can make the argument, what's Tom Brady great at? But Tom wasn't a number 1 pick. That's why he dropped. If I said to you today, Justin Herbert, Tua, Joe Burrow, who would you pick and why?
Tua. And the reason I'm going to take Tua is he's been the more consistent quarterback out of all 3.
Since high school, yeah.
Since high school. And he's the guy that's went out and proven himself week in and week out. I think with Joe Burrow, he couldn't win the starting job in Ohio State. He comes down to LSU. He has the best year ever as a college player. Goes out his 1 year. I can't focus on a 1 year thing. The quarterback was saying Herbert at Oregon.
Yeah.
Inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get from week in and week out.
That's fair.
Tua is the guy that was the more consistent guy in his college career besides the injury, with him having his injury. But I'm taking Tua all day.
I want to talk about Richard Sherman and Darrelle Revis got into a spat. I mean, Darrelle Revis is a Hall of Fame level corner. Richard Sherman's a Hall of Fame level corner. And both great. Revis had a lot of holdouts. Darrelle manipulated, I think, got a little bit more money in his prime because he was a guy that just wouldn't show up to camp. He's a great player, though. Nothing against him. He declined kind of quickly. Richard Sherman, I think, at his best, is as good as any corner we've had in a long, long time. He was long. He was smart. He had great instincts. He had great hands. He had great feel for the game. And he had great closing speed. So they were going back and forth on Twitter. Who do you defend here? Revis? Because didn't one of them go after you?
Reeves said something. I mean, but this is my thing. Like, I'm not here to defend nobody. Like, my stance has always been that Reeves has always been the best.
Reeves is the best,
and that's my stance has never changed on that. I mean, I've said that multiple times. Even when he came at me, I was like, dude, you're in your feelings. Look, I don't really care about none of that, but I can't sit here and downplay another corner that's going to be in the future. That's a future Hall of Famer when his time is up to say, well, if he doesn't travel, he doesn't do this. He's not great at this.
So you defended Richard Sherman.
And I'm just like, it's the scheme. It's the scheme that he plays in. And the scheme that he plays in doesn't ask him to follow. Even though he did follow Devontae Adams this weekend in the first quarter. If you watch the game closely, he was playing left and right, following Devontae Adams in the first quarter, which I think Kyle Shanahan came out and said they just wanted to give them something different to look at. But my thing was, Reeves is the best at what he did. He can play zone, he can play man, he can travel, he can do this. Sherman's at the best at what he does. He plays in the zone, he's his own corner. He knows his abilities, he knows his attributes and what he's good at, and he's a very smart corner. He has a very high IQ and understands what he needs to do and be in the right places. So I'm not sitting here picking a side at all because you got two future Hall of Famers that's in here arguing about who's the best when both of them going to be wearing gold jackets at the end of their career anyway.
Yeah. Richard, one of the things I like about Richard's a big personality.
Yeah, he is.
I will say this. It took me a while to come around on Richard, but the reality is, you look at the NBA right now, they have a lot of great players, but Kawhi doesn't have much of a personality. Mm-hmm. Chris Paul's not a big personality guy. AD's not a big personality guy. The NFL right now has some guys who want to talk. They have OBJ. They have Le'Veon Bell will talk. Richard Sherman will talk. And let's be honest about it. It's good for sports.
It is. But, I mean, it's like you said with Sherman. I didn't like him either. Because, I mean, you want to call yourself the best. And he called himself the best. I think he called Reeves out in 2012 when Reeves tore his ACL.
Right.
And they had that spat back and forth then. And I mean, I think I got into the spat in like 2012, 2014. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, and I've told Sherman this too. It's like I felt like I'm better than you too at my prime. You know, but everyone has their own opinion about themselves. Mm-hmm. But only person to me that's been tagged as the best corner to play the game
is Sanders.
Deion.
Yeah.
That's the only person that's been tagged the greatest corner of all time. I mean, you have some great ones. You have Willie Brown. You have
Darryl Green.
You have Lester Hayes. You got Mike Haynes, Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey. I mean, the list can go on. Mel Blount. You have those guys that's. I mean, you got a guy named Mel Blount that changed the whole entire game with the 5-yard rule with putting your hands on the receiver. So, I mean, it's just understanding, like, there's different generations and different years that every year we're going to have a different corner that's supposed to be the best. Patrick Peterson, I felt like, had a couple years in his book where he was the best corner. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on what's the hot tea right now.
Yeah. Let me finally with this. If you were Tom Brady, you have $300 million in the bank, you got all the rings and stuff, and you want to play one more year, but you do feel a little disrespected by New England. Mm-hmm. Why not just stay for one more year? Just be a Patriot forever. What is the point? Couldn't you just suck it up and stay? Like, would you really want to go to the Chargers? And then there's pictures of you forever in a Chargers, like the Michael Jordan Wizards uniform. You're like, I just want to erase those from my memory. Do you think he stays or leaves? Could you leave?
If there's friction, yeah, I would leave. I think there is friction. I think there's been friction for like probably the past couple years in the organization with him and Belichick. They may not show it or say it, but I believe there's friction there. And everyone wants to prove they can win without each other. So what's the best way to do it is to leave and show who can win and who cannot win. Because if Brady leaves, they haven't prepared for having a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the biggest thing. And you trade away Garoppolo, who's supposed to be the guy that's next in line, and you don't have anybody else. And now you don't have anybody. So, honestly, I would love to see him in a Charger uniform if that happens. I don't know what's going to happen with Phillip Rivers. But I would see him.
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be terrible for the league. It would not be.
It wouldn't be terrible for the Chargers. I'll just put it that way.
No, I mean, if you had Tom Brady in a Chargers uniform, that again feels like urgent. Oh my God, I got to watch this.
But are we going back to the Johnny Unitas stage?
Well, I mean, I just, sometimes from my perspective, Joy and I always say this, we just root for interesting. I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't want guys to get hurt, but if Brady with the Chargers is captivating, it may not work, but it gets me to a television set. I would watch every Chargers game, and in the end, in my business, I'm rooting for that stuff.
What if you had Brady, Chargers, Rivers, New England?
That's not going to happen. because Phillips mistake prone and Belichick's not into that.
I mean, you never know. Belichick can fix it.
All right. Good seeing you, bud.
Good seeing you.
Enjoy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd.